You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, this is going to be a rather interesting matchup. We are not having a Joe Burrow versus J.J. McCarthy showdown. No. We're having a Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz showdown between the Bengals and the Vikings this weekend. And if I'm a Bengals fan, I'm really concerned because one of the injuries you don't ever want any of your favorite players to get is a freaking turf toe. Now, in case you're wondering, turf toe ended Deion Sanders' NFL career. I kid you not. Now, Deion played a long time, but it's what ultimately ended his career. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow feared to have suffered a grade 3 turf toe injury that will require surgery, sideline him at least 3 damn months. I mean, yikes. 3 months. It's unbelievable. It seemed, didn't we just have a wrist injury? And by the way, in case you haven't paid attention, haven't heard me say this, or me and John say this, my partner in crime, John Matrix, the other half owner of all the Black and White network and sports channels, both of us believe Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL. And here we are. We're going to have virtually a whole season without him. It sucks. It really does. That said, I'm not sure people realize how good Jake Browning could be. I don't know. But the fact is, Jake Browning is, in fact, in his NFL career, he's won some games. 4-3. He filled in that 2023 season, started 7 games, led the NFL in completion percentage at 70% that year. That's what that bold means. Led the league. 1,936 yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 picks, but he also threw in 3 touchdowns on the ground. He had a rushing touchdown yesterday, and he also, I believe didn't he throw a touchdown? Where am I going? Yeah, well, here's his game log right here. No. Yeah, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 65.6% versus the Jags. They got the win. All right, so Jake Browning, and I heard Rich Eisen say this earlier. Rich, because the topic that's coming up is this the Kirk Cousins spot? And it makes sense. It does. I mean, Minnesota's another place to mention here, but you got Carson Wentz, a lot cheaper, really. But Rich Eisen believes that Jake Browning is better than a third of all the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I had said after the 2023 season, Brian Callahan took the job in Tennessee with the Titans. Well, I said then the first thing he should have done was trade for Jake Browning to be the Titans starting quarterback, because Brian Callahan came from the Bengals and he knew that offense inside and out. He had showed he could win games and play pretty good quarterback. He should have been the Titans starting quarterback. They didn't do it. Now they got Cam Ward. It may work out fine. But I am just putting that out there. I think this guy could start on some teams. I do. And now he's going to start for the freaking Bengals. J.J. McCarthy. Vikings J.J. McCarthy is expected to be sidelined 2 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain. With McCarthy out, Vikings quarterback Carson Wentz is now in line to start. It's pretty funny. I had to show you guys this. Ben Johnson trying to figure out a way to sprain Caleb's ankle. It's go time. Yeah. Now, look, Ouch. J.J. McCarthy was abused on this play. People aren't talking about this enough from last night, but J.J. McCarthy got crushed. I believe the Vikings' right tackle was gone out of this game. Didn't the center get injured towards the beginning of the game? Anyway, nonetheless, JJ, yikes. Let me just bring this up. Go back to situational stats. Because he had, let me see if it'll take me back. Right here. Okay. 6 sacks for 38 yards last night. And 2 interceptions. 3 fumbles, 1 lost. They teed off on him. The Falcons defense did last night. I think at one point they compared some player to Fred Warner, and I was like, wait, what? What are you doing? Who are you compared to Fred Warner? Okay. I saw that going around today. I was like, what the hell's going on here? Nonetheless, a lot of people are speculating, as you can imagine, that maybe this move is a reset for young J.J. McCarthy, right? So you've got, let's see. Let me scroll down here. This is on JJ. Quote, I don't likely see this as being any short-term IR thing, but I do want to see, and Tyler Williams and our medical group want to see how he responds to treatment this week. It happened on the 2nd and 20 scramble where he was able to get towards our sideline. He just happened to get rolled up, O'Connell explained. In the moment, didn't think it was significant, but when he came off that series, there was somebody in the blue tent. We evaluated it right there, got him taped up, and he went back in the game. It's one of those things, hearing it from our medical staff, that's much worse today than it probably was with adrenaline and everything. Well, they saw the performance and was like, yeah, that's a high ankle sprain. I'm not trying to, I'm not making, I think JJ's going to end up being a good quarterback. And yeah, I really do. But nonetheless, he got destroyed last night. He got destroyed. Lost in his play was the Falcons' defensive play last night. And they applied a ton of pressure to him all night long. Carson Wentz, 47 and 46 and 1 in his career, 62%, 22,000 yards and 153 touchdowns. That's just passing touchdowns. He's got another 11 rushing touchdowns in his career because Carson Wentz is not a statue back there. I've said before, I'd argued that he should have come back and been the 2022 Indianapolis Colts starter. He had 27 touchdowns that year to only 7 picks. That's 4-1. 3,563 yards and went 9-8. But Jim Irsay lost his temper and wanted him off the team when they lost the last game of the year and missed the playoffs. And I kid you not, there was a story that Irsay lost his shit, went to Frank Wright and demanded they get rid of Carson Wentz. Frank Wright wanted to keep him and keep him as their starter. They thought he had performed. Him and Ballard both was like, he's good enough to still be the starter on this team. And yeah, that it all super went downhill from there. I think this is an interesting spot. All right. We're always talking about quarterbacks. I just made a video about Daniel Jones, about these quarterbacks that are having this second and third acts in their career. Carson Wentz could be one of those guys. All right. Former super high draft pick. People forget about the late second act of one Randall Cunningham after the Eagles with the Vikings. Almost made it to the Super Bowl. Had an unbelievable, berserk late career resurgence with the Vikings. You want to know what happened? He learned how to throw from the pocket. I kid you not. And it was Cunningham and Chris Carter. And, man, they made a run, and they lost to the Falcons, in fact, I think. And that was the Super Bowl that I believe the Falcons, did they get absolutely crushed by one of those Bronco teams that John Elway was on? I think so, but I can't remember if I'm remembering that correctly. But nonetheless, point is, there are instances in these careers where you see these second acts, and guys going to be starters for quite some time, yada yada yada. After Carson Wentz is only 32. By the way, you want to know who was 32 when he started this career resurgence? Geno Smith. And now he's in his 4th year in a row of starting quarterback, and got a fairly decent contract. And is 1-0, plays tonight against the Chargers. So I find this, a lot of people are like, oh God, this game's going to be terrible. I actually kind of find these kind of games interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely warped, but I am always looking for these like resurgent future quarterbacks. Could this guy really be a starter if somebody let him? I like those kind of things. I find that kind of thing kind of interesting, and this Vikings team is loaded. So we'll have to see how it goes from Carson Wentz. I mean, people forget, had he not gotten hurt, he would be an MVP. Nick Foles went on to win the Super Bowl after he got hurt. NFL is crazy as hell. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.